This
report.
conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, y'all. It is October 10th. I can't believe we're a third way through the month. I swear September was yesterday. Anyway, let's go around and introduce ourselves, even though everyone here is old school and been here for a long time. Kim, relapsing remitting, diagnosed 2012. Ocrevus, Iowa. Okay, Frank. And also, you guys let us know if you need time tonight. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Frank Austin, Kansas, diagnosed in 1997. I'm on nothing.
Okay. Do you need time tonight?
No,
Okay. Jen Digman, welcome.
Jennifer Digman, Mount Pleasant, Michigan, secondary progressive, Rituxan. No, I don't need time tonight, but I'll
Okay.
just interject and interrupt everyone. Part of
Sounds
my
like a plan. Thank you. Carmen, welcome and introduce yourself, please.
Carmen from Canada, diagnosed 2013 with primary progressive MS, Ocrevus for a number of years, and yes, I would like time tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Karen,
Was it a
introduce
competition
yourself.
for least amount of words to introduce yourself? I'm just wondering.
I just came back from Mayo Clinic today, so I'm brain fried, so that's where I'm at
Perfect,
right
though.
now. Karen, welcome. Introduce yourself, please.
Okay, Karen in Oakland. Just came back from Trader Joe's and my COVID shot. I'm diagnosed with non-relapsing progressive multiple sclerosis. And there's nothing for people like me as far as meds.
Did you need time tonight, Karen?
Yeah, and I'm going to forget what it's about. So
Okay.
I will say it's about getting double vision.
Okay, great. Thank you. And last not but least, the other Jen, Jennifer, aka Big Red, please introduce yourself and welcome back.
Hello, I'm from Richmond, Indiana, right by the Ohio border there. I have relapse remitting. I was diagnosed April 4th, 2019. I am now back on Abagio, and I do like time tonight.
Okay. Welcome back. Let's start with Carmen.
Oh,
Oh, we just lost her. Maybe she'll come back in a second.
you made her mad.
Oh, we made her mad. No, just kidding. Carmen, did you want to start out? Or do you want us to go to someone else first? She could be having internet problems. We'll give her a moment, and if she doesn't come back, then we'll have Big Red start. All right, we'll start with Big Red then.
Hello. I am home with COVID.
Exciting.
Yeah.
How's it treating ya?
Actually, like last year, I got it about this time because this is the second time I've gotten it, and I have mild symptoms. So thankfully, I feel like that change of weather, kind of, that change of weather when you feel kind of crappy and just snuffly. That's all I feel. Like that's it. Because I thought that's what it was, but I'm always worried about giving people COVID, so I'm always testing myself. So I tested myself today, and I told my boss, I said, "Hey, I have COVID." So, which I started a new job. I don't know if I've told you that, guys.
Congratulations.
Well, wait, is this a new job from months ago, or this is another new job?
This is a new. I don't know. Did I tell you guys the new job?
Well,
I
the
don't know.
babies, like you did the research with the baby.
Yeah, this is a new job. They actually
Okay.
canceled my contract.
Okay.
But that's okay. That's okay because 2 days later I found another job.
Good
That's
for
what
you.
happens. it's not how many people you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
So
What is
Seriously.
it, Jennifer?
I work with domestic survivors and survivors of sexual assault.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow.
How are you liking it so far?
It's it's really exhausting. I'm gonna
It
say
seems
I have
very
been.
heavy. You just saying that, just like
My
there's
mom
just a
No,
lot of weight there.
I was going to say, you
never,
don't choose easy jobs, do you?
No, she doesn't, does she?
but I've worked in the mental health field and substance abuse, and then the fetal and infant mortality like for 20 years altogether. So it's like, why not? So I like a challenge. No, I'm joking.
Let me just put my heart on a tray and present it to you.
But it keeps me
Right?
going. It keeps me
Yeah.
going. And um, my boss is amazing. Uh, she takes her time with me. She knows my processing is slow. So I'm really grateful for
Oh,
that.
good.
And she really teaches and preaches self care.
Awesome.
So I'm grateful. But I'm doing okay. I'm back on Abagio. So I got all my medicines back that I started taking and therapy. So
How's that
Good.
going for you, getting back into the groove? So you done with treatments and everything now, or where are you in the world? And
well, I haven't like even when I didn't take my Abagio, like I haven't had many MRIs. I think the last MRI I had was when they found the lesion. Like they were going to do that throat thing, which since I had the cervical cancer, I stopped that because I had to do that first. So they removed everything, and everything turned out okay. We're good. So no, we're just now got to work on the throat thingy. So hopefully that'll help with the pain.
So when you say you work on the throat thingy, what does that mean?
When they put the what is it called? They open up and then they take um, they kind of stretch out your spinal cord with those, like they have to go through 3 or 4 of them and
Okay.
to straighten it up because it's the spinal cord fluid is not getting through very well.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
That's scary.
wow.
Yeah, that sounds.
When
But
was
you're,
that?
yeah.
Huh?
When did you have that?
That was before the whole cervical cancer thing
Oh,
because that
wow.
was earlier this year. But then I was like, I'm trying to take, do some self care and take care of myself since my kids are all gone and it's time for mom. So I went there and they found the cervical cancer and they were able to do the full hysterectomy. Um, and so I told him to hold on the neck, the whatever that's called, the infusion or something. But we'll do that later.
Holy smokes.
you've had
And,
quite the busy year between
and
new
Jen,
job,
you,
becoming a grandmother, cancer. Like seriously, can you just slow it down a little bit, Brad? Just slow it down just a little.
yeah.
One
I do
major,
support
one major life event at a time, please.
her. My sister's like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Well, I hope like I guess God can't, doesn't give you what you can't handle, right?"
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
So you're
I'm good.
doing okay with the COVID right now. It seems
Yes.
like you're responsive and not acting like you're,
Lethargic? No, I'm good.
exactly like
At least
like you
give
have
me
more.
this, right? At least give me a good COVID experience.
Is this your first?
No, this is the second
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I had mild symptoms the last time too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Lucky.
lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I can't slow down. I just can't. So I get to work from home, so that's cool.
Ooh, awesome.
That's
Yeah.
really nice.
But I
Make sure
am
you get up and walk a lot. I know
oh
that
I
COVID just did me in. So
yep,
I
I
just
just
was
get up and
too
walk
busy
and
to even.
clean. I even started cleaning this morning at work, and then that's when I took my COVID test, and she was like, "Go home." I was like, "I try to clean." So, but I am office based, so I won't be going out in the community. They'll be coming to me,
Mm, okay.
so which is perfect because I just can't do that work anymore.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Sounds like a really good fit. Wow. Who's the organization?
A better way.
What is that? Like a nonprofit or?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of Muncie, Indiana,
Mm, awesome.
and we do the 988. I don't know if you guys ever heard of 988.
Yeah.
No.
So we take calls. I take calls for 988 too.
What does that mean?
Like if you have suicide ideation, depression,
Oh,
it's a number.
911?
It's
It's
like
911.
911, but it's 988
Okay. Like
where you
mental
talk
health.
to a
Okay.
counselor.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know a whole lot about the 988, Jen. Is that just based for Indiana? Or like we have it in Michigan. So if people call it, do they get routed just to someone in Michigan?
Yeah, that's it. So each state has the well, a lot of states are starting the 988 more, but it'll
Okay.
go to different kinds of offices. Like I think a Better Way does it, and like Lifeline.
Okay.
But certain companies, nonprofits, will take those calls.
Okay.
It's interesting,
It is.
and it really helps because you
Yeah.
can text too. And a lot
So
of
cool.
teenagers don't want to talk to people.
Mm-mm.
So,
So how, like, is that a 24-hour day line?
mhm,
And do you guys staff that?
yes,
Ah. So do you take the calls or is that something that you oversee?
just Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. I take crisis
Just.
calls, the domestic sexual assault, and then the 988 calls.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So when
Wow.
they call in, you have no clue what you're dealing with because it
No,
could be a vast variety of.
right.
I feel like self-care in your job, besides the whole MS and everything, is like super important to be able to cope with the stuff that
Hmm.
I
when
Yep.
you're
was
helping
going
other people.
I was wondering that. How does that stress affect your MS?
Well, with the therapy and back on my medicine, which I needed to, because was it last year? I think I had 2 MRIs because of all the stress from the fetal and infant mortality and on how they were doing me, and it was horrible. So it was a blessing that I got out of there. I love the job. I love, teaching moms and talking to moms that have actually lost their babies, unfortunately. But it was really good, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be there anymore.
Well, you're being guided to the jobs that are definitely taking care of people, like the jobs that you are perfect for. So, you got
And it
some
was weird
grace.
because Sunday, or was it Saturday, we had like an event where all the nonprofits were together. And a better way, I had my femur set up through the Wayne County Health Department, and then a better way was like right across the little way, and they were like, "You need to come here. We're hiring." And then Monday, so that was Saturday. Monday, they let me go. And as a matter of fact, since I had a feeling something was not, it was not, I don't know, the being
You
a
knew.
contract employee and dealing with that, it was just a lot. I don't know. Something was not right was going on. And I felt that. So when I got the call, it was actually my first interview.
And is it a contract position as well, or is it an actual position,
No,
like with
it's a
benefits
position.
and
Yeah.
all the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a regular full time. Uh,
Awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
thank
That's a
you.
job a lot of people would not be able to do.
No
It
kidding.
takes a special person to be able to do that job.
They have she really, like I said, the boss there, we have like a room that's just like if we're having a bad day, you could just go sit there and she has like a massage chair, um, and just a couch you could lay on. So we could kind of relax.
Yeah. Chill out after a bad or a challenging call or interaction or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds
And
like you have great support.
the women there, wow. Like
Hmm.
I work a bunch of awesome women.
Cool.
So they'll step up if they see I'm struggling.
Well, wait till they get to know how amazing you are, though.
But that's all I got.
It's so exciting to hear someone like you obviously have a very tough job, but to hear someone excited about their job and to have someone support them in their own, you know, their own health struggles, and then I just seen so
Hmm.
many people in their careers just not getting the support or just expendable, and just having someone like actually excuse the language, like just being very old school, like, hey, we care about you and you're a vital employee, and we just can't just like, because those types of jobs like you have, they're really hard to fill those positions. So my friend works for the poison control, and they want to retain you because it takes so long to train you, and it takes a special kind of person to handle those types of that kind of a position. So I'm glad to see that they're really working to make sure that you're adjusting and you can figure out how to deal with these really tough calls, so you can continue doing that and not burn out. So I'll be really interested to hear how it goes as you can continue to get, you know,
Well, the other
out
lady
of.
that works with me, she has lupus and her breast cancer came back. So she's getting treatment and like the support I see and it's like it's mind-blowing. It is so mind-blowing.
Sounds like a place where you need to be with all the crazy things that you're doing this year. You're like, oh, I need to be with these amazing women.
That's what I'm
I love
saying.
it. I love it.
So, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
My grandbaby's a month now.
Oh my goodness.
Show us a picture.
Winona Eleanor.
Can we see a picture?
Oh my gosh.
How many do you want
Yes.
to see?
I'll show you my nephews. She's a month.
See if I can do it.
Oh
Oh,
my
so
goodness.
cute.
Oh, adorable.
And you said her name is Fiona
Winona Eleanor.
Winona Eleanor.
Like
Pretty.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, Winona
Mhm.
Ryder and then like Eleanor Roosevelt. I think that name is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eleanor's
The
making
old
a
the old
comeback.
names are coming back. Like, back in our day it was a lot of Jennifers. Jennifer, you know I'm
I'm
wrong.
I'm waiting for Jennifer's to come back. Give it 20 more years. They're coming back.
I don't think the world can handle any more Jennifers.
No, but I look forward to it. Oh, I want to see your nephew.
Oh my
Look at
Oh
gosh.
this
my
funny
goodness.
picture.
Oh my, I love it all.
Are all three of them your nephews, Carmen?
Yes. It's Thomas, the
Oh.
oldest, and then Jake, and then Samuel. And
Aw.
Jake, even though Thomas is looking the goofiest, Jake is a jokester. I'm calling him Jakester the jokester. He saved my life. Like when I went off work, he was born that same week, and he is my heart. Like he just like honestly, I don't know what I would have done without him. He's just my saving grace. And he's so funny. Like, oh, he's just so funny.
So they live
Sorry, I
close
didn't
by
mean
to
to.
you?
What's that?
They live close by to you?
Yeah, they're 5 minutes away, so I get to
Oh,
see them a lot.
super lucky.
And my sister and I are very close, so we we're together all the time. I mean, my whole family, my parents live just down the hill, which is about 5 minutes away as well. Sorry, I'm all twisted in my hair. So we spent a lot of time together. But that was from last night at my brother's, where we had our Thanksgiving dinner, because it was Thanksgiving this weekend in Canada. So that was us getting together. I'm sorry, I totally jumped in there because I had to share that picture, but I don't know if you guys were still talking, or were you done, Jennifer?
Well, if you're done and anyone had any comments for Jennifer, we could go ahead to go to Carmen, but Marlo just showed up, so we'll have Marlo introduce himself and then we'll jump to Carmen. Hey Marlo, go ahead and welcome and then go ahead and
Hello,
introduce yourself.
Marlo from Sterling Heights, Michigan, dimethyl fumarate.
Did
I
you need
don't
time
have anything
tonight?
to say. No, I don't need time.
Okay, great. All right, he just had the perfect timing, so we're gonna go to Carmen. I'm like, hey, wait, let me
You
get to
totally did, Marlo, because I was not wanting to do my update until you were back, at least, because
now we
you
can do it.
exactly, yeah. But first, I just want to go back a little bit here. Marlo, you weren't here, but Jennifer was just talking about a new job that she got, and she's got awesome support from her boss, who takes very good care of her staff. And um, the difficult job that you have, Jennifer, and I was kind of comparing it to the work that I was doing with the Nurse Family Partnership Program, and supporting the nurses that take care of these young mums. And I didn't have that kind of support when I went off work, and that has a lot to do with why I went off work, and it's really sad. And I I still have a lot of grief about that. I'm realizing, and that's what I meant about Jake saving me, because honestly, without him, I don't know what I would have done. Now I'm okay, but I still, in my heart, because I know what I know, and I know how I could support someone, even just working remotely, if I had the right support myself. But I didn't, and um, that's why I said get up and walk around, because it was so intense. I never could take a break, and I just the less you do, the less you can do, and that really had such a huge impact on me. So I think, why did things change so much? Like, why am I progressing so much? And it just started me on this downhill run, and I think it has a lot to do with the stress of it, but the intensity and the physical and everything, like, as much as I want to still be doing that job, I know I couldn't, because of just how hard it was on me emotionally, and that stress. But at the time, I didn't realize how much of an impact it was having. And I guess I can compare it. I thought about this too, how I can go hard for 1 or 2 days. And I had a weekend like that where I was like out in the yard, and I worked for 6 hours just on the patio. And the morning I was in the kitchen, and, I'm still using my rollator and I'm using my scooter, but still I'm at her, like I'm lifting pots and taking things apart. And then you pay, right? Like, you work for a day or two, or you spend a day zooming around, and then you pay for it. And that's the same with what happened, I think, with COVID and my work. So anyway, that was a total aside. That wasn't even what I was going to share, but I wanted to just jump in, because the work that you do, it just touches my heart that you're doing it, because you just sound like you're exactly the right person, and I'm so glad that you found that job. I'm so happy for you. So anyway, so my
How long
update
have
was
you
actually
been
positive.
how
Sorry?
long have you been off work, Carmen? Before you go to your update, how long have you
Yeah.
been off work?
2 years now. Two and
Okay.
a half. Well, two since June. 2.5, I guess, almost. Yeah.
All right. Continue with your
hmm
new update. Sorry,
Okay.
I couldn't
So
remember.
on continuing on the a little bit sad side, is that I haven't been driving since probably uh late August, I think. My family would probably say I shouldn't have been driving for 6 months before that, but definitely this summer was really brutal. I do not know what was going on. I think I've said that before, but anyway, my right foot is just like not very good. So I'd started the process for hand control driving, and I think I updated you guys last time that my doctor had submitted something, and then we heard back, and they didn't immediately pull my license, which was cool, and they're paying for that assessment. So I had that assessment last week, and everything was totally fine, and then we got out driving for a couple of hours. So I've already been driving with hand controls, which is awesome. And he said that it went as well as no, as good as it can get for your first time. So
Nice.
he was happy with my progress, and I just have to do a couple more sessions with him, like a couple hours here and there. And then, I mean, the whole process, like he submits his stuff and it still can take 8 to 10 weeks from the road safety people, but whatever, it's on the way. And then we have to, of course, buy the controls, which are another, I don't know, I haven't even looked into it yet, $2,000 or $3,000. So like by the time it's all said and done, it's not cheap. But I'm just like, oh, I'm tired of not having my independence and having to rely on everyone else for a ride. And so it'll be great when it gets done. But that's where I'm at with that. So I was happy to share.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
very
can
good.
see why you wanted to wait for Marlo to show up, and it was like perfect timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I
Are
asked
you
him
gonna,
about
are you gonna
joysticks.
end up with the right hand turn signal
No, it's just a bar and it's down for gas and you push against it for braking.
with your left hand?
Yeah.
So how do you signal? You use the same hand?
Yeah.
For me, they recommended a spinner knob
And a
with the
spinner
left
knob.
hand control,
Yeah.
and then a turn signal with the right hand.
Oh, I'll
So
have to ask him.
it's just a piece of wire that goes over to your turn signal. It's nothing fancy.
Okay.
But if you can reach it while your hand is still on the steering wheel,
Yeah.
your hand can stay on the brake and the gas,
Uh-huh.
and then you got this. You're doing the spinner knob, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then the signal. So
Right.
you're touching all three at the same time without letting go of the steering wheel.
Right. Okay. I'll have to ask. But he hasn't seen any joysticks. Like I asked him about joysticks and I don't know. He didn't really know anything about it. He said there's lots you can buy online, but the one that's actually insured and uh, I don't know, like supported provincially, I guess, by our insurance is this type that he showed me or that he has me driving on. But I haven't looked into it yet, so
You know, mine accidentally. Are you using the mechanical levers or the electronic one? Do you know?
it's electronic. It is electronic, but I mean the brake, it just goes like through a rod down to the brake. Like it's actually physically right there.
But the gas is electronic. So
Yes.
what's so nice about that is if you do the mechanical on the brake and the gas, you have to put a kick plate on the
Oh,
floor so that your
right.
feet can't touch the gas.
Yeah.
It takes up a lot of floor space.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can end up with the electric, I
Yeah.
didn't want that to begin with, but they just kind of forced it on me without telling me,
Yeah.
and I really like it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big benefit because you can move your feet around if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Would you mind sending or writing in the chat or sending me a message with the name of your
Sure.
controls, just so we don't keep taking up time? Anyway, thanks so much, Marlo. It's kind of hearing someone else that's going through it had sort of given me a little bit of inner strength to just take that step because I might have been in a little bit of denial there for the last couple months. So driving when you have a scarf wrapped around your leg so that you can lift it from the gas to the
Mm.
brake when you're tired, it's time to maybe not be driving anymore like that. So,
I was driving with the e-brake for a little while.
yeah. And cruise was my friend, cruise control.
Yep, cruise control everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
even at
Yeah.
35.
Yeah.
Can
So
I ask
anyway,
about, can I ask Carmen about the spinner knob
yeah.
and Marlo? Because, I keep hearing it referred to as a suicide knob, and I'm like debating, do I want to have a spinner knob on my,
I think you just have to remember that, like, and he didn't even say this, but I know this, like, not to have my hair down and not to have any scarves or anything that could potentially get twisted onto the
what
spinner
about
knob.
sleeves?
Or
What about
even
sleeves?
I was just going to say, or even clothing. Like, that's something that I just know. I was surprised he didn't say anything about it, but
Well,
anyway.
this is the way I understood it. If you use the spinner knob, it's safe. But if
Uh,
you're driving a car that has a spinner knob and not using it, then it's dangerous on your sleeve. So these have a little button, you just push it and pull it out
Yeah.
if you don't want to use it.
Yeah.
So if it's there,
someone's
you got to
presenting.
use it or take it out.
Right. Yeah. Who's presenting?
Well, Karen was having problems earlier with her screen, and it said that if you made her presenter, it might help with your screen. So now we see her screen, but we still don't see Karen.
So, oh, you mean you didn't see? And so it said no screen or camera are being shared. And then I'm gonna turn on my computer. It was, you know how like with MS, with anything, maybe it was just meant to be because I was able to eat in privacy. Like,
Well,
but I'm gonna try to go on with my computer. Oh, but it actually won't let me. So I think I'm gonna just go out and come back in because it says another app is using your camera. Help me fix this. Close any applications using your camera. I don't know what the hell's going on.
all right. Well, I'm gonna leave and come back, and we'll get you fixed up, hopefully.
Or I might go on, but then there'll be a horrible noise. So I just have to remember how to get the hell out with
Yeah,
that.
Karen, I think you should sign out because we're seeing your screen right now.
You're seeing my screen, but you don't see me.
Correct.
Yeah.
You mean, oh, before you didn't even know like I was really there.
Yeah. There was
Right.
no.
Now, like,
Oh.
we see like chat with, and it tells you all the names. So, yep, we see all that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
And it's recorded, so you probably want to leave and come back so people don't see your screen.
Well, I'm trying to find out why my whatever. I might just, you know what I look like, but two people tell me they love the color I'm wearing, so it's a shame you can't see it. All right, I'm gonna go out and I'll see if I can get in.
Cool.
Are you sure you want to leave the meeting?
Okay. So, Carmen, I was going to tell you, I love the fact that you are getting your freedom back and you're taking that plunge, that financial, the unknown, or they could take away my license. And you're like, F it, this is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
Marlo helped you out. Like, I just love it because I know I talked about previous how my new car with a 360 camera thing, total game changer. And I know I talked about the last session how using technology to your advantage to fill in the gaps that you have with MS. And I'm just so excited for you. I'm absolutely excited for you.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I understand that feel like, oh my God, I can do this again. And because it's just when your world gets smaller, and then you're just like, oh, I can get that back. I can have the
Yeah.
independence back, and it's just the coolest. And you don't take it for granted. It's just so like you're just so grateful
Exactly.
for everything,
Exactly.
and I just love it, and I love it. If you see in the chat, Marlo wrote a bunch of stuff down there for you,
Oh, okay, I'll
and
get to that in a bit. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, see, now I don't know what that is. And now I'm seeing two of you.
Marlo can re-put it in there for you, Karen, because you
Oh,
lost it because you left.
And now I'm seeing two of me. I don't know why.
I only see one. I only
We
see
can
one of
see
you,
you at
Karen.
least. And yes, the
We can-
color is very nice, Karen.
It says I'm broadcasting. Now hear this.
No, your camera's working great now.
Anyway, I'm
really?
basically finished, but I did also just want to say that no, I didn't want to say anything else. I wanted to say thank you. And I think I said that already. So anyway, that's it.
Another big benefit to the electric is that you push a button 3 times and it switches back to normal controls.
Yes,
You don't have to pull the kick plate out.
that's right.
All you got to do is pull the spinner knob, push the button, and your car is normal again
Yeah,
for somebody else
exactly.
to drive.
Yeah.
I did drive my friend's car that had the hand controls when I took her to her appointment. I'm like, "Is this?" She's like, "Oh no, it just drives normal right now." I'm like, "Okay," 'cause I don't want to. First of all, it's her car. It's not my car. I'm not familiar with it. No, like I don't I don't know hand controls, people. Know. She's like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, okay.
So what did you see?
She had the control on the left side. She had a spinner, and then her husband just added like from the hardware store, attached something to the turn signal so it was easier for her to pull it down or push up that she really liked. Just like this little
Mm-hmm.
metal contraption they just
Well,
threw on there. Because I asked,
yeah.
oh, they put that on there too. She's like, no, we did that. So
Did you
she
take a
really
picture of
liked.
that?
I could ask her to take a picture of it,
Mm, maybe
and then
that
I
would be
can
good.
send it to you if you like. Would you like me
Mm-hmm.
to
That'd
text
be
her?
good. Yeah,
Okay, I'll write a
sure.
note to text her, and
Thanks.
she'd be more than happy to send.
I'm in my gathering information stage right now, so that's good. I'll add it to Marlo's list of things.
And that's why I love these groups because you can get a plethora of information from all these people. And then I can't tell you how many times I have passed down information from I learned from someone else. And it's just the coolest thing in the world. I know
Exactly.
I got an email. I think Jen was working about like found out that if you have MS and your you can get VA benefits. So go ahead and apply, and just cool things that I would never know if it wasn't for these groups. We're like, hey, did you know? I'm like, no, but I'll try to file it somewhere. So if I have someone, I can bring it up. So yeah. Anyone else want to talk about anything else about Carmen and before we go on to Karen? All right, Karen, do you know what you wanted to talk about? Or do you want me to go?
Oh, you can go. I'm now fixing my settings and the color's all weird, so
Oh, okay.
you go.
All right, I'll go. So, I've been up to the Mayo Clinic twice in the last 2 weeks. So I had my visit with my neurologist, and then I was also in a research study for him. So I got another MRI, and I got to do PET scan CT things. Never did PET scan. Has anyone else done PET scan before? Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much different than an MRI. It's
Oh,
so quiet. So I'm an MRI a connoisseur. So the first thing is like, what do you mean I don't have to change out of my clothes? I can bring my bag in, I can wear my jewelry, I don't have to wear earplugs, and you go in there and it's just the noise doesn't change. There's no clicking, there's no vibrate, and it's like 20 minutes. Like that's it? I'm like, yeah, that's it.
And is it big and wide open? Like
It's
it's
bigger,
just
it's
a
a
ring?
wider, and it's not as long, it's shorter
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm. I think I
It's
had one
su
a long, long time ago.
What are they looking for with a PET scan, Kim?
the first one, so I had 2 radioactive substances in me. The first one, the guy said it was amyloid, so when you think of Alzheimer's, the amyloid buildup and then with the tau, so that was one. So I'm like, "Oh, is he gonna come back to me and go, 'Kim, you have dementia?'" And then the second one was inflammation. So 2 different substances for both of those. So, and then I don't know, I didn't really when he had the syringe is covered in this really heavy. The syringe itself is super heavy because they have the I think it was tungsten that covers the barrel of the syringe, so to protect the staff from the radioactive substances. So it's not like this little clear plastic. It's like this super heavy duty and really heavy. Like it was maybe a couple pounds or something. It was ridiculously heavy. That was interesting. But the thing is, my neurologist, this is the same guy I've been going to since 2018. He's always been thrown for a loop because I don't light up like a Christmas tree on MRIs. I have very few lesions, and he's like, Kim, I've done these things, and I can't. So he's like, I want you to do a spinal tap, and I want you to get some blood work, and I want to see because he's like, he said, and I quote, "You're a rare bird," which is kind of fun because it's kind of fun to confuse somebody who's like really, and knowledgeable in their field. They're like, I don't know. So he actually said, at this moment, I am going to downgrade you to I can't even think of it, demyelinating disease versus MS. So then I had to call Rick on my way home, like, can I moderate these groups if he's like not saying I have MS anymore? Can I? Rick said yes. So if you guys disagree, you let Rick know and kick me out. But so I went back because I had to do the PET scan PET scan CTs for the research thing he was doing, and so they signed me up for blood work and the spinal tap. So I got the spinal tap yesterday. The gal that gave me the spinal tap, amazing. I got it 21 years ago. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. Oh, that's funny. Uh, um, where's this going? Sorry, lost my brain. I got a spinal tap 21 years ago, and I remember that being quite miserable, but that was before I was diagnosed. I'd gotten, poked 25 times in 2 days. I was kind of a hot mess. And this time I'm like, wow, I don't remember it being this easy. I wasn't in pain. She was good. Um, but I got some of my results. Some of the results they'll release in the portal. Some things they'll like wait until you talk to him because I won't talk to him till early November. But my spinal fluid is because he's like, I want to know, are you still having the abnormal? Are you still having the band? Are you still having the bands? Are you still abnormal spinal fluid? And the answer is yes, I do. So I still have the abnormal. So my prediction is he might go back and go, maybe you do have MS. But he was trying to like, maybe you have MUGs or maybe you have this, or I'm not quite sure. I'm like, maybe we can just come up with a new disease, we'll call it, come up with a new one but it was just, I wasn't, because this month I will have my 11-year diagnosis anniversary of MS. So to tell me almost 11 years later, I don't know if I can technically classify you as MS, even though one of his colleagues is the one that diagnosed me. And actually, Jennifer, I'm going to call it, I'm going to have his last name syndrome is what I would call it. Because, not me, because that would be like HIPAA violations if you use my last name. But no, I think it should be his last name syndrome. He has more of an ego than I do, so he can have the disease, not me, named after
So do
me.
you have to give back all your presents you got last year when you had your anniversary? Like, you
No
know,
one gave me presents. No one gave me presents. But so it'll be. I'll find out in November if he decides to reclassify me as MS or just demyelinating disease.
I don't understand why he doesn't want to give you that diagnosis.
Oh, well, one of the things that was really interesting, what he was really confused about. So I've been on 3 drugs. I was on Rebif, and then I was on Gilenya for 5 years, and then I had my optic neuritis when I went completely blind in my left eye, and that's when my neurologist in Des Moines switched me to Ocrevus. So I've been Ocrevus not quite 5 years yet, and he's like, I don't know if it's the Ocrevus that's doing its job or masking it. Like, it was interesting to try to follow his brain, but he has had a couple people get breast cancer on Ocrevus, so he seemed kind of sensitive about. He's like, I'd rather be on a less effective, like a less powerful drug, because he was. I felt like he was. I got the vibe he was getting sensitive about potential breast cancer with patients using Ocrevus, and he sees it. But
Oh,
I, at the same time, my cohort, my age group, mid 40s here, I know so many women that are getting breast cancer like crazy right now. I don't know if that's actually correlation with Ocrevus. That women I know that get breast cancer have not been on Ocrevus, do not have MS. But that was something he seemed concerned about potentially. I'm like, oh, so don't let me tell you that my mom had breast cancer. She did. But it was due to massive radiation from her first cancer. I don't believe it was due to because of something else. So anyway, that was just kind of like a, excuse my little language, a little mind fuck for me because it's like I got that mind frame for almost 11 years. I have MS. He's like, I don't know now. I think it's your lesion load. I call it lesion load. He calls me else. Isn't great enough to maybe classify you as MS. And Rick's like, well, that's great news, Kim. I'm like, well, that doesn't change my symptoms. You can reclassify it all you want, but it doesn't change my symptoms. I still have issues with cognition. I still have issues with massive fatigue, and I still can't
So
work,
what's
you
the
know.
point then? What's the point of?
I think he's just being, the techno, some people are just very specific on things, and he just might feel like I don't quite fit the classification a lot, as
Is
much.
he the doctor for your research that you're involved in? And
Yes.
what is the research, by the way?
He does a lot of research. His wife also does research, and she's a neurologist too, not an MS,
What
but she also
what's the
does.
research you're doing? You're involved in?
This one was you had to get an MRI. You couldn't use your clinical one. It had to be the research one, and then it was a PET scan, CT scans, where they had the two different ones. I did.
Oh, they've just asked you to contribute your medical knowledge, your medical stuff then. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so they're doing like 100 patients that have MS and then 100 control
Ah,
subsets.
okay.
So I'm technically 0.5% of that study,
Yeah.
you know? And he's like, yeah, and we were looking at people, and he's like, yeah, she doesn't, because I'm in this weird group, but he still wanted to put me into that study. I'm like, yeah, that's just one of the things everyone has their passion when it comes to MS, and I don't have issues with doing research as long as I don't feel like it's super
Yeah.
harmful to me. Like
I'm
if you
I'm
said,
I'm all over it too. Like that's why I was
yeah,
curious what it is that you're doing.
I I was in another research thing that he did a couple years ago. It had to do with the between the sexes of people with MS, and I did like a bunch of
yeah.
like the peg test, the walking test,
Yeah.
a couple other things that I did because I was in that research study. They pulling me for this one. I'm like,
Oh,
okay, sure. So that's
somebody
what I
was
did.
asking about what the PET is, and I had to look it up because I couldn't remember exactly either. It's a positron emission tomography, and it's a test that can help reveal the metabolic or biochemical function of your tissues and organs. I don't know why that's different from an MRI. Well, I guess it just shows in a different.
Because they're pumping the radioactive substances in you.
Yeah, but even when you do that with an MRI, oh, it's
That's
only go to
I'm
active.
gonna say this wrong.
Yeah,
Gallium? Is it gallium?
Galenia or yeah,
Gallium. I think I'm trying to get Galenia
yeah.
together. But no, it's completely different because go ahead, Frank.
I think it's gallium.
Yeah.
There we go. But that's not radioactive.
No,
Gadolinium.
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 There
Right.
we
thank
go.
you. Thank you.
And then what's the okay? So you're taking this radioactive. They're pumping it in your blood. You swallow it. What happens?
IV. They stick it in there, just and they make it themselves there, and the half life is like I don't know. The first one I had to wait like 30 minutes, and they put me in, and the second time I had to wait like 20 minutes. I think that was like 30 minutes or an hour to put me in, but the half life's like really quick. Like
So I
I'm
don't
not.
understand though. You don't have lesions on your brain, or you don't have lesions on your spine. What's
I just don't have a large lesion load. Like I had a lesion in my brainstem first of all, like when they first my first when I first went up there in 2002. But when I went back 10 years later, it completely healed and disappeared. You couldn't see it, which doesn't usually happen with people with MS. It kind of
Hmm.
like just stay. And then I have a lesion like on T8, T8, yeah, thoracic 8. And then I had another, but I'll have like these couple spots, but nothing like crazy because usually MS, they stay there. You have active, you don't have active lesions, and they just kind of stay there. And sometimes they get larger with time and they age. And I'm just not showing the classic, all these different lesions all over, because I'm sure you guys, I don't know how many lesions people here have, but I just don't have that lesion. I don't have that big load that people do. So,
I don't have that either. I don't have or apparently it's like I don't even need to do another MRI because it's not showing. I just have scarring on my spinal cord, but I have symptoms. So what about God, when I had that spinal tap, let's call it what it is. That's the worst thing I've ever experienced, ever.
it
Ever,
was
because I freaked out.
totally fine
Not because
yesterday for me.
really, no, not because it hurt, but I still didn't know what was wrong with me, and he was saying you have demyelinization disease, you have a as if I knew what that meant. And then Yeah, and then that was ordered. What is it called besides a spinal tap? What's that other word?
Lumbar puncture.
Oh, a lumbar puncture. That part was so, this nice young resident comes in, hi, and he starts asking me questions. And he came in with this, and I went, "You are not going to do this. You're not going to do it. He's doing it." So then he's like, "Well, is it okay if I ask you questions?" It's like, "Yeah, you could do that part." And so I think I broke his fingers because they're going, and I'm on my side, and it felt like if this is my spinal cord, it felt like it was over here. So then I thought, what is going on? So it was unpleasant, but it was more that. And I went, where are you doing this? He goes, I'm doing it directly into your spine. And it felt like a few inches over. So then I freaked out because MS was off the table, or maybe it wasn't at that point, but I freaked out. I just went, what's wrong with me? It was just that how could it feel like it's over here if you're over there? And then the guy, that I said, you're not doing this. He like held my hands. I think I broke his fingers. I was like, he learned something about that. But
No, an
for me,
RN did mine.
but when I got diagnosed, and now I'm curious about your thing because I did go to the demyelinization specialist. Now we can call her the MS doctor. And she said I had like little white spots in my brain, but at my age that's normal. But she said based on your symptoms, and they weren't like they are today, that was in 2019, and the fact that you have positive oligoclonal bands, that was the tell. So do you know about your oligoclonal bands?
So, like I said, I got there's a new test. Doesn't anyone have heard of kappa-free light chains? Immunoglobulins yeah.
No.
So it's a new thing. I guess they're trying to use that more than the oligoclonal bands because it's cheaper. You can get the results faster. It's not as labor intensive. And I don't know if they
So
also did the other ones and it's still out and we're waiting to hear back from the results, but I got that one back. And yeah, it comes back as high. And then it does give you some ranges of like what's considered, but it's still like the sensitivity isn't like 100%. Like it's still so he was just curious if I would still come back with like abnormal fluid, and the answer is yes. Yes, I am. I'm
that's
not.
from spinal fluid.
Yeah, that's from
Okay.
spinal fluid. Yeah.
So
And
I worked
then
I wait,
I
I
did.
worked really hard to learn how to say it. So am I saying it right? Oligoclonal bands?
You're probably saying it right. I don't know.
Okay.
That's one of the ones I struggle with. But the funny thing is, because they'll do tests and you don't know, so I got one today. It's like I have to look at it so I don't say it wrong. I had to look it up because I'm like, I'm not familiar with this test. What is this thing that they did with my VDRL? So I looked it up. I don't have syphilis, guys. No syphilis
Yeah, that's
here.
what I thought that's what it was.
Venereal disease, yeah, because the neural syphilis. So they were trying to rule out like, and I'm like, I could have told you I don't have syphilis, but whatever. So I don't. And then also, guys, just so you know, I'm also not pregnant because they make you take a pregnancy test before you get a PET scan. They don't have radioactive. So not pregnant, don't have syphilis, guys. Just to let it out there for you. I learned
Excellent.
that.
Don't you have to, doesn't your blood work include a pregnancy test before Ocrevus anyway?
No, no.
Oh?
Uh-uh.
Mm,
Anyone else? No, we don't get blood tests before Ocrevus. No, we just go in.
mm, mm.
Mhm.
Well, Rick is a little uncomfortable with the TMI. I'm not pregnant either.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you
Me
want to
neither.
do the test, we can do that. He's like, yeah, we have to make sure you're not pregnant before we give you radioactive substance. I'm like, all right, that's fair enough.
What, Frank? Didn't hear you.
I'm
Hmm?
with Rick.
Yeah.
I, Rick.
Well, that's the love of being a female. Or are you talking about the syphilis part?
All
The
of the above.
neurosyphilis. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have either of those. Oh, I did test. They did test me for Epstein Barr. So there's like 3 different things they test
Mm,
for. and he did not tell me this. This is my interpretation, so it can be completely wrong. But my interpretation is I do not have an active infection of Epstein-Barr, but I did have a previous infection of it sometime in my life, which I think the
Well,
majority of the population has probably had, so
but
nothing
they're also
crazy.
like there's that research that's linking that to MS, right? The EBV, the Epstein-Barr
There
virus.
was a big
Yeah.
thing about that, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Kim. If it turns out that you don't have multiple sclerosis, how
Mhm.
will that affect your life? I mean, your identity.
I think that's the only way it would. I think there are some potential problems. So I think if he downgrades me to demyelinating disease, I might not have access to certain drugs. I might not be able to do certain things because I don't have the MS. It could potentially also affect, even though my disability is the same, it could potentially affect my disability, getting that with Social Security. So, yeah, there could be some massive consequences of not having MS,
Okay.
financially and availability. But the psychological side, oh, yeah, that's definitely because I've like, I didn't specify it to Carmen when we talked about it last time about pharmacy. Like, I don't identify as being a pharmacist anymore. That's identify
Mhm.
it as much as I was a college student or another job or a high school student. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not my identity anymore. So it would be different. I would have to go through my whole identity thing again, but I would be okay with it because it's still
This is
me.
this
Go
is
ahead.
just one opinion. This is one opinion, and from what you've described, I mean, I've only known you a very short time,
Mhm.
but the MS diagnosis is so subjective. It's not a cut and dry answer, and the series of your events and symptoms. I mean, you've had other doctors that know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it would
We
be
can sit there and
fun.
debate it all day.
Yeah, it would be fun to take my Des Moines neurologist and my Mayo Clinic neurologist and put them in a room and have them like
Okay.
talk back and forth. I would love to be a fly on the wall. That'd be so interesting. Like,
Hmm.
debate. Does she not have MS?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, she has this, and so it would be really
And
fascinating. I think it's
this
just like,
guy, this guy being in research, I mean, I can understand the research people are so fussy about every little
hmm
detail for a good reason, right?
hmm
That they want to make sure that all their results are repeatable and all that.
Hmm. Yeah.
They just want to overdiagnose you for good reason.
hmm I understand where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, my symptoms don't magically resolve because you're classifying me like this. Classifications is man-made, we just design it. And I can't even think of the words right now. So in medicine and lots of things, we get so specialized. We like, oh, the eye is just by itself. And like, no, the whole body works together. It's just not like just one area. So you just have to kind of keep it a larger scope. But he's just always has struggled with this the 4 years I've been with him, and he decided to pull the trigger this time. And maybe it's like, she has to come back in 2 weeks to do these PET CT scans. So she'll probably do the spinal tap and the blood work I want her to do, because she's pretty open to that kind of stuff. And so I said, yeah, let's do it.
Sounds
Let's
like
give me some
sounds
more
like
data.
sounds like he's got a personal problem.
I wouldn't call it a personal problem. I just call it like just being a stickler for details.
Mhm.
Just, do you not, or so.
Well,
But it was just,
when I got diagnosed, she said because of this, and the positive oligoclonal, I'm going to say that you have MS. It's like,
mhm,
how committed is that? I'm going to say this, and then in my chart, it doesn't say I have MS. It says I have non-relapsing progressive multiple sclerosis, and it was like, well, when did that happen? And she said, well, they're constantly up changing, and or somebody would come here and say I have CIS. Yeah, just they're constantly probably at these neurology conferences fighting with each other.
yeah. And I think too the same thing is that I'm very like a quote a rare bird, so I'm kind of interesting to study. And hey, if I can get this gal to do these extra tests, and I can like try to rule things out, because I like started like looking at the MOG AD. Have you guys heard of MOGs? I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, I think I had the
To-
MOGs. What is it? I
yeah.
forgot, but I remember that
Don't
was
ask me. It's more like optic neuritis and stuff. But I'm like,
right,
dude,
right,
these
right. Yeah.
symptoms started in 2001. I didn't have optic neuritis until 2018, like 17 years later. And I was listening to something like a MOG support group. And it was just a small snippet, but no one was complaining about like cognition issues. They were more, complaining about vision issues. And it was just like, so I can see his confusion because like, it don't sound like I fit in that group either. So I'm just gonna start my own group, guys. No, just kidding. I don't
Well, we'll join you. Well, so that's a good transition to my topic because I said about double vision and
Yes.
and yeah, visual things that I get double vision. Well, this other thing. I guess I still identify as a nurse even though I don't, but I do. But I do when I need to. I tried to make some appointments. I made an appointment to get a COVID shot because I ran into someone and she said, "Did you get COVID yet?" And I'm like, "Yet." She goes, "I've never recovered from it. It was just like I was like, okay, I don't want this." And it turned out that Kaiser's not paying like Walgreens or CVS to give you a COVID test. I'd spend 40 minutes at Walgreens until they figured that part out. And then they went on strike. And then at night, my point with this is don't ever let anyone get away with, I don't know, I can't. I don't, that's where I pull out not even saying I'm a nurse. This is not acceptable. I don't know. And so then they told me that I could do it in Alameda where I go to my doctor, but only people from Alameda. That's where I get my care. And so I got I usually do these phone calls at midnight because there's not a lot of people on the phone and whoever answers the phone has time to talk to you. And I said, and they said, well, I just got a phone person. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. Well, this is what I'm told to tell you. You could try Oakland. We might not have enough supply. And I said, well, that's a denial of care. If I'm going to get denial of care is no care. That's not okay. And I really pushed, and I said, "Well, I, you know, I'm, it, I think I forgot what she said because I can't remember all the details, but I was like, well, you're not a medical person. You really should be giving me this kind of medical advice." It's like, I'm immunocompromised. Do you even know what that means? No. Okay, well then well, I can connect you to the nurse. So, and the nurses will almost always tell me the same thing the other person told me that's in front of their screen, but they just deliver it a little differently. And she said the same thing. She said, well, we don't know. You could try Oakland. I said, look, I can't walk. I can't afford to try. I can't afford to try things. And I already tried to go to CVS, and then they were robbed at gunpoint and went behind the counter and took all the cash registers. So I thought, well, maybe I better make another appointment. They were closed for a few days following that, and I made an appointment at Walgreens. And then I spent like 40 minutes on the phone with Kaiser, and she said, well, I could send a note to your doctor. I said, look, my doctor knows I don't bother her. I want her to know that you're initiating this, not me. Because like I want to bother my doctor for things I want to bother her for. She said, well, we do have COVID vaccines in the clinics, but we're not offering a clinic because there's a strike. And then after that, we might or we might not, and you could try. And I was like, no, I'm not signing up for that. So the next day I got a call and they made an appointment, and I went today to get that appointment.
Where did you
And
go? Where did they make the appointment?
Kaiser, well, I just got it at the Kaiser Alameda, which is just easier to go to. Plus, I could go to Trader Joe's and stop at my favorite Mediterranean restaurant. And I
Okay.
did try to go to Walgreens because I just wanted to see, because they were both around the same time. And there were like 8. I went early to see if they'll take me early, and there were like 8 people in line for the vaccine. I thought, I think I'll just go to Kaiser and get my vaccine there. So that worked. But I just never take no. I don't care. Oh, you need a mammogram. Oh, well, if you had that, no, no. There's a suggestion. I just push. I push and push and push until I get it. So I'm glad I got that, and I hope I don't get COVID. But while I was there, after having a little day out with Trader Joe's and whatever else, I'm sitting in the injection clinic waiting room, and I'm having double vision. and I'm going like this, and I'm going like that, and I was feeling a little off earlier, like, am I seeing double? Is it blurry? What's going on? And when I was there, I really, had this moment of panic. Like, what am I going to do? How do I go? So I just kind of sat there calmly. And then when it took a while, there was only one person up in the waiting room. It was very peaceful. It was very calm. And I just said, just chill. And she said, how are you? And then I turned out yesterday they ran out of vaccine. I said, but I got mine. I said, well, I wasn't going to answer that question until I got my vaccine. So I'm okay. But that's scary. The double vision coming and going. And then I had an episode. I didn't even want to talk about it. I was like, I'm not going to tell the doctor just because it was one time. But I actually went like blind in one eye, but not black blind. I was like not being able to see with one eye. I don't remember which eye it was. And then it just kept getting worse. And it took about like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes at the most. And then it looked like, see that white behind Rick on his AnCan screen? That's what I could see, only like white. And I was really exhausted too.
How
There's nothing
far
I
did
could do
you
at
lapse
that
in,
moment.
Karen?
What?
How long ago was that? Like what's the spacing between
I'm
today's
going to say, if I can remember, maybe like 3 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks ago.
hmm
And then once my vision came back, like within 3 minutes, I still like rested. I knew I was exhausted. And then I read about it. Like, should I report this? What should I do? And what does this mean? Because I'm not like not going to go to the doctor, but I also didn't want to go, if this happens and if you have a headache and if you have pain in your eye, go to the emergency room. I was like, well, I don't have a headache. I don't have pain in my eye. So then I just did a little more research, what is this? What could cause that? And they said, well, you could like temporarily, for about the time frame that I had, you can have like a piece of mucus at your age. And a lot of stuff is at your age. You could have just sort of like a little piece of something that covered the eye. But since I always said no, I never got optic neuritis or all that. So if anybody can enlighten me what that means.
I have a question. When you were experiencing the double vision, did your eye hurt when you moved it?
No.
Okay. When I had optic neuritis, it hurt when I moved my eyes. So I was just curious if that was the
Heard
same with the double
No, and
vision.
I kept like going. And then I went, well, maybe I'm seeing double because I pressed too hard on this thing. And I was also hot. I had some tea and I was feeling sweaty and diaphoretic. And I thought, but I think it was like that was more anxiety because it did resolve.
Are you
Kim,
having Go ahead.
I had optic neuritis, and that's how I was diagnosed actually. But I didn't have the eye movement. It didn't hurt.
It didn't
Like
hurt
it
when you like moved your eyes left to right? Oh,
no.
okay. Because that was
But
Yeah,
that's what
me
my
but
either.
the
that was
thing
my
is,
first symptom, and then the vision started to go the next
So
day.
is
so
that something to do though? Take your finger and go left,
but
right.
my
Make sure it's
eye
really.
lost its ability to look straight, so it was going this way. It was crazy.
Oh, mine did
It
not
was
do that.
it was like, honey, it was like this.
I think it can be many, many different things because mine was
It's
completely different
crazy.
too. So
It
Oh,
was
you
like
Mine's
had that
super
too.
crazy.
Carmen.
Super crazy.
So
yeah,
how do you know it's optic neuritis? I mean, like what, I usually wait when I have symptoms, if I
They
know
did an MRI on me and saw the lesion, saw the inflammation on my optic nerve.
when it was
My
happening.
eye doctor looked in my eye with his little thing, and that's how he saw it. And that's like Jen, that's how I was diagnosed. Just I went to the eye doctor. I couldn't abduct my left eye. And he looked in my eye and he could see the inflammation on my optic nerve.
yeah,
Did you have pain?
my cousin's my eye doctor, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? I couldn't see anything. Like there was
Mm.
Completely
nothing.
black.
Completely black.
That's
And
what mine was.
the eye doctor was like, you're a case study because
Ugh.
usually like with the steroids and stuff, I was able to get it back, but it was crazy because it was like it just Jen, did your eye do that? Was it like going that way?
Hmm.
No? Oh God.
Was it
I
black? Like, because, for me, it was this white
Nothing.
screen thing that I
There
saw,
was
and it
nothing.
didn't last.
Total
I I
darkness.
would I would lose it, to be honest. I would just lose my brain.
I had a really cool patch though. Just
Yeah,
FYI.
yeah, it's got to be a cool patch.
Yeah.
I was about
mine
ready to lose it, John, but I just said,
What color was it, Jennifer?
mine looked like a toilet seat cover. Looked like I had a little I had glasses. I wore glasses at the time. And so my eye just looked like I had a little toilet seat on. And I could see two distinct images. So I was watching, that was no kidding. I was at work and I was working on the computer and I could see the image of the computer in front of me and then I could see whole another computer over on my left side.
Mm.
I got in my car and I drove back up to my parents' house and that's how the disease started for me.
How old
But
were you
it
then?
was
Yikes!
like Kim said, it was
Yikes!
horribly painful.
Yeah.
Just hurt. And John, welcome.
Oh, hi.
You I don't know how long you've been here, but hi, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm okay. I was actually just coming from another meeting. I had to tell my Dungeons and Dragons group that I had another meeting tonight, and they all laughed at me and said, "Well, what kind of meeting?" And I just said, "Well, an MS advocates meeting, you know." Like, "Oh, that sounds great. How often do you do that?" Like, every 2 weeks after our game, you know. Um, so had a fun night tonight, and also, hi, I'm John. I think y'all know me. I mean, I recognize you from all around, and
we don't
I'm
recognize
a,
you. We can't see you.
yeah, I'm having some USB problems with my computer, so I don't have a camera tonight.
Oh,
Um,
John, I was concerned that you were having a bad hair day.
Or you
oh
were back
no,
in the hospital for something awful. How are you doing? How's your health been going for you?
okay. So last Monday, Melissa and I were planning to take a urine sample and have the stitches on my toe looked at on Tuesday. Like, hey, we're going to go into urgent care. Well, I couldn't get out of bed. Everything pointed right to another UTI. So we went to the ER and we went in and I told them exactly what it was. I was able to give them a sample very quickly, and within a half an hour we knew what it was. So they're able to treat me for like 4 hours and then let me go. So it was a shorter stay, um, but still it sucked.
Was it
That
IV?
was yes it was. That was 2 Tuesdays ago. I apologize. Um,
So you
and they
did
said
have a
no.
UTI again?
I did, but we're all set. We're good on that now.
Oh, good, good, awesome.
I've been in the hospital 3 times for a UTI.
This year,
This like past 2 months.
yes, you've been just been
Yeah,
excessive. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How
Um,
does that even
and
happen? Just
well,
your
Karen,
symptoms are that bad,
I'll
or
I'll let you know what's up. Um, I've been not taking anything for this, and um, basically I was not clearing all of the UTI with my
Hmm.
course of 7 day um, antibiotics. So we just put me on the antibiotic that is really used for people with MS, the nitroflora, whatever the hell it
Thank you
is.
for telling. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. And so things have been better that way. And I'm also taking my cranberry pills. Thank you, Jennifer, for telling me which ones you use specifically. Um, and so I had a urologist appointment last Tuesday because we're thinking maybe I was not clearing my bladder the whole way. Well, I used the bathroom before I went, which I guess was the wrong idea. But when I got there, they did the scan, like the ultrasound. There's nothing in there. So I am clearing my bladder, which is a really good thing to know. So we're just going to continue with the medicine I'm using and then just increase fluids, 64 ounces a day. I'm way over my goal for the day anyway, so that's good. And just really knowing the signs of stuff. So
What are
then,
your symptoms? Because it can vary from person to person, and the
oh,
classical symptoms I no longer have. So please, what are your symptoms you're noticing for
I
UTI?
lose I lose all strength. And I'm not even kidding. Like I cannot. Good night, Rick. Like I cannot even stand up out of my
Night, Rick.
wheelchair or get
Mhm.
up off of my couch.
Mhm.
It takes like a bunch of tries or the Hoyer lift to get me to where I need to go. Um, just the weakness is it, and I get a fever.
Okay, so
Might
you're
be a
not
slight
having
fever.
blood in your urine, you're not having pain
No,
when urinating, none of those
no,
symptoms. Okay.
yeah, those are not
What-
symptoms that I have, which is good for my mind. Um,
What's the drug that you're saying is for MS? That's
It's
there,
generic for macrobid. You're taking it twice a
yeah,
day, John?
yes, I am.
Yeah, it's macrobid, which is a nitrophotoin.
oh, that's what. Okay, because I have some
Yeah.
standby that they didn't order a standby, but when I had a UTI, I got one thing, and then the urologist ordered something else, and they went, "You haven't picked it up yet," and I'm like, "Okay," even though I took the other one, so I'll be prepared. I'll have to check.
So when I was in the hospital for like the morning, the nice doctor said, "Hey, wait like 5 or 6 more days before you take these stitches out. There's still some opening on the toe." So let's fast forward to just Thursday of last, a couple days ago, and we go into urgent care to have my stitches looked at because that's the only way I can have them looked at on short notice. So we went to urgent care and we were there for 6 hours. But when we got there were 13 people in front of us in line, and they're having three people, like three doctors rotating through. So it was a busy, busy day. Um, but we got in and we were looking at the toe, and the PA didn't think that it was all the way healed or like wasn't like quite close enough. So she got a wound care specialist, and she sucked. Like no bedside manner. She was kept saying that, oh my God, they're like little sausages. Your toes are just little sausages from your edema. I'm like,
Oh,
I no, please don't. And she kept doing it. So like that sucked for bedside manner. But anyways, from there, I'm now referred to a podiatrist who I will see on Thursday. And is it a lymph? When we have all the edema, what is the doctor that call that would like treat that? A lymphedema? Is that what I feel like it's
mm,
lympho something.
I mean, edema could have a lot of reasons.
Well, no. Like what kind of doctor would treat that?
That's what I mean. Like it could be a heart
It,
doctor, but it's
it,
not.
it
So they're
depends on what's
sending.
causing the swelling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they're saying for podiatry, hey, that's another thing I was wondering about because it's hard for me to cut my toenails and Medicare won't pay for that. They rather me get an infected toe and go through what you're going through, John, than actually cut the nail. So are they sending you for that, for cutting the nail, or?
No, for having the gigantic cut on the bottom of my toe that had stitches in, they're sending me to a podiatrist to have those stitches removed because they've been in there almost a month.
As opposed to a nurse taking
Uh,
them out, or? Huh?
uh, like they sent me to a podiatrist. I'm just telling you what happened.
Yeah, but you were
I don't know
wondering what
why.
kind of. No, no, but that makes sense. Then, it's like you got these stitches in there. It looks ugly. We're going to send you to podiatrist. So if he messes up, it's on him.
Yeah. And then separately, I'm also being referred to a specific kind of doctor, a specialist that is for edema. So we don't know what the cause is, and that's why we're going to go check out this doctor.
Oh, but you don't know what his specialty is?
I feel like it's a lymphedemaologist. I put
Oh,
an ologist in the wrong spot, but lymphedema. I just got a lot of swelling in my feet. I have square feet.
You're having a lot of specific follow-up for some things, which sounds good though, John.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the thank you, Carmen. Hi. Um,
Hi.
that's exactly it. Like I'm going through care and things are happening, but I just wanted to update you guys on the story. And like, hey, here's what
Yeah.
my life has been like for the past couple of weeks, and I don't want to go too late for y'all because I know. I mean, it's.
So who's your main doctor? Because right, you said now you have a care manager. So who like manages your medical? Because you got a lot.
I have a primary care.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
not
he's a
neurology.
doctor. No,
What?
he's a doctor. He's just a
Right. Well,
doctor.
I'm just wondering because I have, I keep insisting that my primary care keeps on top of everything because, like you said, somebody said, I don't know who said it, you get parceled out. Oh, your finger goes here, your urinary goes here, your bowel goes here, your breast goes there. And
I have a I have a very good lympho
You're right,
lymphologist.
John. Yeah,
There we
you
It's
go.
are.
There we go. There we go.
lymphologist.
pathologist.
Yeah. Uh, Karen, basically, my care team just really, really has their poop together because I have called them and said, hey, get all of your poop together. If I'm going to do everything that you ask me to within reason, you're going to do the same that I ask of you within reason. And I've gotten lucky. Of course, I'm very lucky to have my care team all together, but I'm just part of a really good medical system in my area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that I have a really good primary care provider,
Yeah.
and she yeah, I mean, I don't mind having all these specialists, but I can't,
Yeah.
you just can't parcel out your toe to this one and your nose to that one and your whatever to that one.
Well, also the podiatrist because I'm diabetic.
Oh, you're diabetic. Well, then you get to go to
Yeah.
podiatrist. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to go to a podiatrist. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to update you guys on, things are doing well. My movement is coming back. I'm up moving around. Cool thing about my wife Melissa is her back is hurting less because I'm able to be more ambulatory,
Oh, good.
which is really, really awesome because last week we were talking about respite care. So that's a big, nice step up for us. So
So
I
Yeah,
you're
miss,
definitely feeling better.
congratulations, John.
yeah, I miss doing PT, in fact, but I can't go back until I get this toe looked at better. So it's
Well, I'm
all
glad to
it's
hear
all in due
you're
time.
better, John.
Yeah, it's all in due time, right? Speaking
Well,
of due time, I got.
the two, and John, the two nurses, me and Kim looked it up because one
Carmen.
opinion's not enough.
Carmen is the other
Carmen,
nurse.
Carmen, yeah,
Yeah,
not Kim. The other
I'm not
C.
a nurse.
Yeah,
you're all part of my
lymphatic
medical
venous.
team.
It says lymphatic and venous disorders often have profound functional and psychological implications.
Yeah,
Caring for with edema to meet these challenges, Stanford has well, I read it somewhere else that lymphedemiologist. So I didn't.
yeah,
That was new
yeah,
to me. Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, taking good care of yourself, and
yeah. So much
feeling
of it
better.
is Melissa. Like 99.999% is Melissa. My toe has no infection because she pushes saline through it every night. So she's been keeping keeping care of me. So don't worry, I'm in great hands.
Good.
As
That's
I hope
really
all of
good
you
to
are as
hear.
well. Everyone have a good night. We'll talk in a couple weeks.
Bye, John.
On the
Thanks,
24th,
I've got
John.
Jen. Yeah,
yes.
I'm
I
gonna,
have a I have an
yeah,
MRI that morning. I have an MRI that morning. Oh wow. Yeah, that's 2 weeks. Awesome.
I
Yeah.
got something tonight too.
yeah. Well,
Rick wanted me to plug again that on Monday, October 30th is the Medicare webinar where they go through the complications of Medicare and different plans and Advantage and not. And if you are or want what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Help me out. Tune
With
up. on the Medicare world. Carmen, this does not apply to you. Or if you want to learn about American Medicare, Carmen,
Nope, no thanks.
you can go to the webinar on Monday, October 30th.
Yeah.
And you know that story with Medicare, because I got three. I just out of old professional curiosity. Yes, I got three things in like 3 days from new Medicare providers, and like the mid 80s is when was no mid 90s is when they first came out with the Advantage program, and they just did this big recruitment. You can go to the Buttercup Diner, you can go to this, but they're just using the same places. You can get a free meal here. Well, you don't know if it's a free meal, but it's worth trying. You know, you go here, we'll give you information, and then people would sign up for it, and then after a year, the companies went, oh, we didn't make enough money, we're dropping it. And I just can't believe it. 30 years, the same cycle of insanity. For Medicare.
I'm just happy that people still have that option. They haven't done away with it. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, you mean you have Medicare or Medicare Advantage? Yeah, and these were all Medicare Advantage people trying to get, well, because there's no advantage for someone. There's no advantage for who would try to go. Don't sign up for Advantage. Just go to me. You know, like
Isn't essentially Advantage like an HMO?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, when
yeah.
I hear HMO, I remember my personal horror story with an HMO in '95, and so just
What
hearing
do
the
they
word
call?
HMO scares me. Does anyone
Health
want
Maintenance
to
Organization.
Sorry, what?
It stands for Health Maintenance Organization.
okay, but tell her how it's different than like what does that mean?
Well, what do
Mhm.
you have? A PPO? Like, really tell her how it's different than a PPO?
Well, she's in Canada, so she doesn't have that.
Right. No, but I mean, because you're
Uh,
saying you don't have an HMO, you have just straight up Medicare and you pay 20% out of pocket, or you have another thing.
me?
Kim, yeah, and then I'll
No, I
type
have
this.
private insurance and Medicare.
Oh, so yeah, it's insane, Carmen. It just you're constantly being solicited by insurance companies that want you to sign over
An
your benefit.
HMO pretty much, just to answer your question badly, Carmen, an HMO pretty much says, okay, you go to your one provider and they're the gatekeeper, and then they will lock down on where you can be seen. So they were trying to do the HMO thing with my husband's private insurance, and I'm like, can I go to Mayo Clinic because that's out of state? And they're like, no, that's not covered. You need to go to the PPO. I'm like, yes, please. So you're
PPO, like
supposed to,
preferred provider. Wait, so you can
yeah.
do that with the, I don't really know the difference between a PPO. Maybe we all should go to that workshop.
Yeah,
You should,
so an HMO kind of to save money, they they downscale who you can see in
Hmm. Yeah,
locations
they're
and
very
stuff.
specific about what you're allowed.
Yeah, so like if I was in um a nursing home and I was not going to be deemed to travel long distances, then maybe I would do an HMO. But me, I like my options. I like second opinions. And as long as I can do that, I will do that. So,
but you still get the gatekeepers. I mean, like Rick doesn't like Kaiser, and a lot of people don't like it. And I have good providers, and they didn't just all like mysteriously appear as good providers. It's like this one gone, this one I keep, this one you help me with that. So for me, it makes sense to stay with that. But if I travel, then they cover that thing. But um, Xavier Becerra, who was the Attorney General for California, he's now in charge of the Health and Human Services. So, and I thought, what do you mean I can't get a COVID? I can't get a COVID shot where you could before, COVID vaccine. So he's saying, yeah, they call them advantage programs or disadvantage programs. Yeah, since Kaiser's my primary and they bundle up your drug thing with it, they weren't covering it. And he was saying, they're not on it. You're going to be on the hook for that. That's why I made a big stink and I talked to a nurse and I said, I want You just say, I'm being denied care. If I'm being
How much
denied
would it
care,
have been?
say that again?
I'm just curious, how much would the shot have been? Did they tell you?
Yeah, because then I went to CVS since they reopened with bulletproof glass all around. And he said
That was quick.
191. And the pharmacist or the pharmacy tech, he said, I'm a member of Kaiser and they say they're going to wind up paying for it, but I'm not paying the $191 and only to find out that they're not doing it. But, that's why I stay informed. So I can just say, well, I want to document it in my chart that, you're refusing to pay for it at an outside pharmacy and you don't have your own. But I think I'd already read the article before or after. It's like, I just want to document it in my chart that you're not giving me a vaccine that's available in other places.
Was that your
But the
first COVID
PP,
shot, by the way? Sorry to interrupt
no,
again.
no, just a new one. But and I also got a flu shot a few weeks ago when I was at the doctor, and she said, we're not rolling it out until October 1st. Then they didn't roll it out until October 2nd. Then October 3rd, they went on strike. So, I was like, that's not my problem. I'm not, you need to pay for this or you need to. But then I just push, but it just takes so much energy. Everything is just for getting a COVID vaccine. But the PPO, I think, the provide. I mean,
Yeah,
I
so I
know
looked it up, the
this.
HMO. So if I want to go see anyone outside my PCP, they have to do referral. So I can't be like, oh, I need to go to dermatology and then call derm like, yo, I need an appointment. I have to go to my PCP. Yo, PCP, can you set me up with the dermatologist? I have to go through like
But what about the PPO? Don't you have to be quote in network? I mean, it's just
in
insane.
network, but I can make my own appointments. If I want to see a dermatologist, then I go see a dermatologist. I don't have to get permission from my PCP. Like, yo, is it cool if I go to the dermatologist?
Like, we'd need a referral
Oh,
specialist like that. We'd have to see our family
yeah,
doctor or talk to our family
yeah.
doctor to have a referral for a specialist. It's not like we can just go to anyone like that either.
And in theory, Kim, how do you know that you need to see a? I mean, how do you know you need to see a dermatologist? Like, I don't mind because my doctor, well,
Well,
other
like
than her
if I need
she's
a skin
available.
tag or I want like skin tag removal or something like
Well,
that.
because my doctor will take pictures of me because I did ask about
Yeah.
dermatology for things, and she'll just take pictures and send it over. So, I mean, in my case, it's okay because she's on it. But and she can. And for me, it's like a big network, and I feel like they do a lot of research. There's a lot of people. Otherwise, I'd be like going blind. Like, well, I could go here. Oh, well, that doctor's not with this plan anymore. So it's messed up. It's healthcare in the US is messed up. It's messed up in Canada too and in the UK.
And my PCP, when I asked her, she's like, no, go to dermatology. So if I have issues like that, I don't go to her because that's not her area. So then I go directly to dermatology and they take care of me. I don't have to
And see,
harass her
that's
like,
what I
yo, give me
and that's what I
referrals.
don't
Like,
like. I want my PCP to know about any and everything I have. I had this consult with the urology and then she went into the bowel stuff. So when I saw her a couple of weeks ago, I said, "Did you see that note from the urology?" She said, "I didn't understand it." And she said, the pelvic floor. I did meet with a pelvic floor therapist. I don't know if I told you that. But I mean, and so she said, I didn't understand it. I'd have to do research. I said, well, don't even bother because she didn't know that last part about what she's talking about. So when you have your own PCP who knows you, you have more. It just depends. It just
oh,
depends,
I
but
love
it's
my
getting harder.
PCP, but there's like when I got hormone replacements, I'm like, hey, no offense, but I went out and did it with this person. And she's like, oh, I don't do that because there was a important time where med schools weren't training for hormone replacement therapy. So she doesn't know anything about it. So she doesn't feel comfortable. Mad respect. I don't want you doing something you don't feel comfortable with. So,
Yeah.
I go somewhere else. That's fine. I appreciate that. Like, I don't expect her to do my neurology things, It's like, hey, figure out which DMT I need to be on and set up MRI. She'd be like, no, not my expertise. No,
So
go
are
away.
you staying on Ocrevus, Kim?
Well, my next infusion would not be till March, so
Oh,
there's
so you don't. So
plenty
are
of
they going to change
time.
your meds or you?
That's what I find out. And
Oh,
well, I get my meds through Des Moines, but I will get my neurologist Mayo feedback in results back from him beginning November. So a month from today, you can ask me these questions, and then I can
So,
give
you
you
know,
better
the bottom line
answer.
about where you get your health care is, are you satisfied? And if you're not,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you should be satisfied.
it's important to get what you need and not, if I have to settle, I'll settle, but I'm not going to settle. Like you were saying, or like Karen, we're like, I don't take
Yeah,
no for an answer. And I know,
yeah,
like, I'm very much in that same boat because I was in healthcare. So I just don't
right.
think,
And so you
oh,
have more, yeah, you got a little more.
yeah,
I mean, I don't take, I don't know for an answer. That's not an
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
And speaking of important, I know that it's important that I get some sleep, and I'm just gonna hit the road. It's been lovely talking with you all, and we have a meeting in 2 weeks. So I'll see you all.
Take care, Jennifer.
Thank you, you too.
Well, thanks, Kim, for hosting. What would we do without you?
Yeah.
Jennifer. We have
you
Jennifer.
would figure it out. You would get it done.
Just we were talking about Ocrevus. Did I ever show
Yeah.
you guys this? Like I had a receipt.
No, show it to me. 8,500? That's it?
Yep. Yep.
Oh my God.
Times 2. That's 300
Right, but
mils.
that's
Yep.
one full dose right there. 8,500
Uh,
bucks. And they're
that's
charging on my insurance, what? Is it up to
that's
like
half the difference.
132,000,
60,000,
127? I
like
think it's like
120,000 a
it's
year.
at least 127,000 now.
Oh, no, wait a
Um,
minute.
Oh,
Mental.
65,000, because when I wanted to get a second opinion, when I got diagnosed, I'm going to say you have MS, and I hate to give you an assignment, but here's, you know, I was going to say Ritalin, Rituxan, and Ocrevus. Which one do you want? It's like nobody even asked me if I want anything. So I did ask for a second opinion, and I had a whole write up, and I'm like, and then I
Carmen,
said, it's the $65,000 question, because it was $65,000 for one thing of Ocrevus. Wow.
go ahead,
Carmen,
Frank.
Yes,
was that $8,500 what they paid or what they were billed?
that was what my insurance company was billed from the medication from the. Now this might be a little bit different, but no, this would go through BC Pharmacare. This is the price that is paid in BC for it.
And
British
Okay,
it's
hey,
Canadian dollars more or less.
less
same.
than
You pay more. Canadian dollars are worth less.
Look more. They look like more.
You
Like
have to pay
8,000. So
more.
Wait, Frank is talking to me, you guys. He's asking some questions.
No, I was just saying the Canadian dollars are a little less, but it's
Oh,
not much.
yeah. Well, some days it's
But,
quite a bit more,
well,
but yeah.
anyway. No, I was just wondering if that was what was billed or what was paid. And I would imagine that here, those $100,000 are what people are being billed. What are they paying?
Oh, let's see if I can find my bill. Hold on.
yeah,
I have to
that's
go through a
true. Because I
cell.
had an
It's not,
MRI.
they don't pay 127,000, but they still pay a
But I
bunch.
had an MRI that was billed at $32,000, and they only got paid like whatever it was. Oh, that's what it was. They got paid. I don't know. I'm going to make up a number. Don't quote me on the math, but it was something like $32,000, and they got paid 24. Or so then I got a bill, even though I'm on financial medical assistance and I am on Medicare Advantage. So it doesn't freaking matter what Medicare paid. I am insured with your Kaiser Advantage program. And then they sent me a bill for $8,000, which could cause you a heart attack. But they had already billed me for something else. And I went to the financial office, and she said, "Oh, are you here for the $8,000 bill?" I'm like, "No, like 350 that I shouldn't have to pay." And so then the next time I got a bill, it was for 8,000, but I'm like, I'm not going to sweat it. But otherwise, right, you could have a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in
What?
California, that's balanced billing. So
Say that again?
California, that's balanced billing, and I don't think they can do that.
No, they can't. But in fact, I had seen something on TV about it. And then, so when already I was told, but you don't really need, you don't need that aggravation. I just
No.
ignored it and the 8,000 went away, but that doesn't always happen.
Did we lose Kim?
No,
No, she's,
I'm still here. I'm just in my basement trying to dig out my bill so I can find it.
yeah, they
I don't
make
know if I have it in
contracts,
2021.
Carmen, like the pharmacies and all, they make contracts with different pharmacies, and they said,
Yeah.
okay, and they constantly change the formulary, constantly. So in fact, I have a lot of asthma inhalers, and each time it's different. It's every time it's a different one, and it's like chemistry. Sometimes this piece of chemistry
Yeah.
works better. I don't care if
Yeah.
it's the same
Oh,
thing.
totally.
And
Yeah.
I notice on the inhalers that, like, I'm like, this looks like Provento because it's yellow, and then I get a new name and it's blue, and I'm like, this looks like Ventolin. So, I don't. And I was taking Ampera that Frank says, but it helps me. I was taking Ampera and it was being billed at like $3,000 a month, and now it's generic for like $47 a month.
I got some really good numbers here that flips this whole thing around. So we
Okay.
all know about cost plus. So I do dimethyl fumarate.
You're
So
talking about the Mark Cuban pharmacy, just to make that everyone aware.
yes.
What
So
Yes.
is
when
it
I
called?
started, I had Blue Cross, and their statement would say we pay $9,000 a month for your dimethyl fumarate, and your copay is $20. So then our company switched to Priority Health, and their statement would say we pay $6,000 and your copay is $20. So now Cost Plus has dimethyl fumarate, and
Wait,
they
what's
list
Cost Plus? That's like a furniture store here. So
that's
No,
it's like,
cost.
the Mark Cuban Pharmacy online,
oh, I don't. I mean,
and they list the cost. So right here, I mean, here's just the real deal. So they say retail price at the pharmacy $6,616. At Cost Plus, the manufacturing is $30. The 15% markup that they get, $4.50. The pharmacy labor, $5. Standard shipping, $5. Cost to you without insurance, $39.50.
Wow.
And this is what he is saying. He said, I made more money than I could ever throw away in my life. Now I want to do something to change society in a good way. This is what they're telling us. They're paying $30. This is what,
and charging you a $9 admin fee, which is totally reasonable.
oh, and they're telling us they're paying $6,000 or $9,000.
Isn't that crazy?
This is
What is it? What
this
is
is
it you're
one
taking?
drug, and they're
What?
Okay,
adding drugs on a regular
I
basis.
found it.
Wow. Thanks for
Go ahead.
sharing, Marlo. That is mental. Who is the founder of Cost Plus?
Mark Cuban.
He's a
Oh, okay.
billionaire.
Wow.
If you saw his face, you'd recognize him.
No, I know, like from Shark Den.
Yeah,
See, I just saw this
the real
Dalfampridine
Shark Tank.
Ampera.
The
It
Dragon's
was
Den
one.
where it all started.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What is it? Shark? Is it Shark Den? Did I get that right?
Well, we try to take over as Shark Tank, but it
Oh,
really
yeah.
started with Dragon's Den.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Okay.
What is it you're taking, Marlo? That
The Tecfidera is the generic is dimethyl
Oh, I
fumarate.
see. Oh, okay. 14 it says our price is $14.20. And for Delfampridine,
Well,
$1,394.30. Let's be clear, 30 cents. With that,
I'm
like
on the
13, and then it's
240 milligram.
$13 for, yeah. Well,
So
this is
what?
good to know about in case I have.
Okay, Kim, you dug
I
hard
got
for
Go
it.
us.
ahead.
I got it.
What do you got for us? Tell us.
Okay, so this was March of this year. So my insurance company, they were billed. I'm sorry, I can't look. I got to turn this around so I can see. Okay, can you see it? Where's my thumb? Where is my thumb? Can you see my thumb? See
There,
my thumb?
getting there.
Yeah,
So
'Closer.
135,000.
Holy shit.
So that was the price. So if I had a glitch with my insurance, Carmen, and my insurance says we're not paying for it or you didn't have insurance, that's what they would bill me to me. Okay. So
Crazy.
here is the network savings, $98,558. So they actually paid $35,215.71.
Wow.
And you said that they paid for you like 8,500 essentially,
Like
partly.
that. Something like that.
So that's like 4 times more or 4 times more than what they paid for.
85.67.50.
Welcome to America.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is your proof. When I say these crazy numbers, I'm not saying crazy numbers. They were actually on my bill. So I was wrong. We have left the 120s behind. 135,699. So almost $135,700.
See, and that's what I'm saying. My insurance numbers all say the same thing, these outrageous numbers. But here you can go to Cost Plus for some things, and it's $40
And I'm
without
seeing, I'm glad you
insurance.
brought that up, Marlo, because
Without
I'm
It's
seeing now
insurance.
on the site for the I just said that about the asthma meds. Like they used to give me generic for Pro Air, and on their price it's $32. Then I was getting Ventolin. I asked for it because I like it better, and that's $46. And then the last time they went, well, we're not going to give you generic Ventolin. We're going to give you Proventil for $17.30. That like they're probably going to his website to get this price.
Yeah, they're going to the same people. They're buying it from the same manufacturer.
Right.
Exactly. And then
They
maybe
don't have Ocrevus, I don't think, because it's an infusion.
And the thing that's frustrating is that it becomes very normalized to us. So when we go to Europe and we need an ambulance, we're like flipping out, like, don't call an ambulance, don't call an ambulance. I can't afford it. And the people, locals are like, what are you talking about? It's free or like very low cost.
yeah.
And like, why are you flipping out? Because like I will go bankrupt if you call an ambulance. It's just a crazy, and I know like Carmen, I know Canadians will get special insurance. So if you go to like US, you can get
Absolutely.
covered.
Oh yeah, we
That's like
don't
a
travel
huge
without it.
deal
Like
that
people that
you won't go
travel
to
without.
US without insurance, special
Oh no, no, no.
insurance.
No, I wouldn't. No, never, never. And I mean, people that do take that chance, I mean, we've heard about a couple of them, and yeah, like they get stuck somewhere, and there they are, 100,000, 200,000, just for a simple, well, not simple, but anyway, yeah.
A few days, and all of a sudden
Mm,
you owe all this money.
yep, exactly.
A
That's why
friend of
people go to Mexico to get care.
a friend of mine got stuck in Italy because he had COVID, and that was a time where you couldn't like they would leave, and he got better, and he didn't go bankrupt being stuck in a hospital for I don't know how long he was there for a while.
Yeah,
And yeah, so
crazy.
it was broken. It's been broken for years. COVID has definitely accelerated the brokenness, and it's gotten to a point that I don't know the best way to fix because there are better healthcare systems, but they all still have their problems. It's not like Canada's got it fixed 100%. Like you still have
No,
big gripes about your healthcare system and
and wait
everyone else
lists
in the world.
and yeah,
Yeah,
shortages
yeah, yeah,
like that.
shortages and everything like that. But we're
But how
starting to
better,
feel.
like with Medicaid? Isn't that what Obama introduced, or am I misunderstanding?
No,
No,
no.
Medicaid is for people that like a poverty level, and that's by state. Medicaid is
Okay,
by state.
okay,
So
Well,
California Medicaid is very different than.
Medicaid is yeah for like low and they haven't really raised the minimum like federal. It's based on the federal poverty guideline, which like 20 years ago was maybe $780, and now the federal poverty guideline's like 900 or 880. You know, like it hasn't
yeah,
changed.
And it's state by state.
Yeah, but
right.
it's still there's funding for it. But the Obamacare will cover if your state allows it. Will cover the Medicaid.
Like they'll cover, so you get coverage, whereas certain states say, well, we don't, because why should we care about poor people, really? It's their
And
problem.
Obamacare was also about, so our insurance tends to be tied to employment.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't work full time, you lose your job or your spouse loses your job, you suddenly lose insurance, and
Mhm.
that's massive. And you'd have to pay. So it's trying to get more affordable healthcare if you didn't
Yeah.
work full time or something, or your some smaller companies don't offer health insurance.
But
So
then
that
it's
was
even
part of it.
worse. But then it's even worse because I had, like, the last time I had like a job that had insurance was at community college, and you have 90 days to enroll in Cobra, like you could be covered by this insurance, and the plan was really good, but it only cost $750 a month. So how can I afford that? Yeah, like, well, now you've lost your job, now you're on unemployment, and more than half your would go for the insurance. And Obamacare kicked in on January 1st, whatever that year was. And I had left that job in September, and I should have waited to apply, ask about Cobra. So then it said, well, if you want Cobra, you have 90 days to pay, like back pay. So I'm like, okay, if I have a horrible accident, I'll have to pay 750 times three. And then on New Year's Eve, so I had to pay by December 30th, and then December 31st I was at a music camp, and I started to feel really ill, like just before midnight. I think I was dehydrated. I felt really ill, and that's when Obamacare was kicking in. And I'm like, nothing can happen to me on December 31st. Nothing could happen. And I felt really ill. And, we had this big celebration for the New Year's. And I was feeling really nauseous. And I just got, nobody knows I'm here. I went to my room and it was 12:15. I went, I'm covered, because it was like either I'm going to get better or worse. Like when you start crashing, it's either you're going to get better or you're going to get worse. But so I'll have to go to I drank water and that kind of helped. But yeah, just,
Here, here,
We've
listen
just
to,
got to stop being brainwashed because we'll look at what Canada pays for drugs and it's just a tiny percentage. But then we'll say, but something about their system isn't perfect. So throw
yeah,
away the whole thing.
yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden we can't focus on, okay, we need to improve.
Yeah, like from the sounds of it, I think your healthcare institutions are under the same pressure as us, which is shortages and overpopulate. Let's just say overpopulation, but like, sorry, increased overabundance of patients and shortage of locations, beds, that kind of thing. So those things are sounding like they're the same, regardless if you have like expensive insurance that covers things or not.
Well,
We
it's
just
gotten
wait.
worse since COVID because
Yeah.
we're covered by private, it's all private insurance. So it's
Hmm.
private business. And the bottom line is, oh, even if they're called not for profit, it's not true. And it started in 86 because I told you about that book by Elizabeth Rosenthal, but I forgot what it is. But she's like, what's wrong with the system and how to fix it? And it started in 1986, which is about when I became an RN. And I've been able to, when I listen to those horror stories, I was like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. But, COVID, all the providers, everybody stepped up, and especially the licensed people, they stepped up. And my doctor wants to quit. They stepped up, and
They
then they
all
were
got
like,
burned
well,
out.
they didn't just get burned out. They didn't just get burned out, but then the powers that be went, well, look, we squeezed every bit out of them. Let's keep squeezing.
And that's what's happening with the pharmacies with the strikes, is because they started doing bare bone, at least in retail, started doing bare bone skeleton crews in '07, '08 when the economy crapped out, and then they never bounced back, and then they just kept adding. It was a couple years. Then a couple years later, they started adding the vaccinations, and they just kept adding, 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 and scripts are going up, and they're like, I can't safely do my job anymore. So it's not pharmacists like I want more money. They're like, I need safety. I
Yeah.
need to be safe because if I make a mistake, who's it going to fall back on? Because that was like one of the problems I had. Would they be like, hey, we're short staffed, can you work, can you do a double, can you, or can you, I had to start work once at 4 in the morning, on an overnight. I had to do part of an overnight, and I'm like, so if I they okay, I will tell you this one scary story. There was a coworker of mine. He worked from 2 to 10 p.m., drove to the overnight pharmacy. He worked until he arrived sometime after 10 until 4 a.m. when I relieved him. And then they let him go back to the original store and work from 8 to 4. Now, you tell me, excuse me, I hit the camera button. You tell
Yeah.
me how safe that was. And if he made a mistake and someone got hurt, would the jury say, oh, that was your company's fault because they coerced you and forced you to do that? Or they go, no, you should have known better
Your
and you
professional
should have said
responsibility.
no.
And even if it wasn't a jury, you have to live with, I have to live with some things that have
You have to
happened
learn that
on
live with
my
them.
shift, and I still remember them in 1986 because I didn't have enough time to go in a room. And like a mother who had HIV and she crashed, and the LVN, who's not an RN, didn't notice, and I went in at 11:15, and I'm like, okay, gotta send them up to the ICU. I mean, nobody knows because it wasn't anything really that I could personally say I could have, should have, but it still eats me up that, oh, I didn't go in there because I got stuck with all these other tasks that it's on your head. Well, one other thing, I don't know what it's like, Carmen, because the doctors don't know. I don't understand. I tell my doctor all the time, the clinics are run by a doctor and medical assistants, which by definition of their job, they have no clinical judgment. They have no clinical training, and they have
Because they're
no
cheaper.
no
They're cheaper.
authority to come with any independent judgment. None. This is why I want to talk to a nurse. At least, so well, at least send a note to your doctor. They're not capable of doing that. And I keep telling my doctor, your job would be so much. They used to have nurses in a clinic, and the few, like my neurology has a nurse, the urology has a nurse. Everywhere there's a nurse, there's coverage. I don't micromanage the neurology nurse. If I have a conversation with her and she said, I'll tell the doctor, I don't wonder if
Yeah.
she will. I feel fairly confident she will, but so it's just to have no nurses in clinics.
Yeah. My
That's,
computer is just about down to empty, you guys, just in case I suddenly disappear. So just
You
so you know.
learned way too much about healthcare in the US today. Karen.
No. It's interesting. It's always interesting. And you guys, I don't know if you guys realize this, but I really kind of feel like I'm half American, which is why I joined your group. Like I've given up all my Canadian groups that I was trying to.
No.
why? But
Uh,
why is that?
well, I just like the format of this group. It's smaller, and I love hearing from all the different areas that you guys are in. I miss my American connections. I still have lots of friends, but it's just I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of half one of you. So each time,
You get to travel. Yeah, I have like this dance practice, and it's like in Wales and the Netherlands. It's like, well, I still get to travel from my home.
yeah. But hey,
Well,
can
we're
you guys
glad
tell
you're
me
here.
how can I change my name? Like I can't figure out on GoTo. I can do it on Zoom, but where is the stupid setting to
You mean
change?
Okay,
how to
so
rename
click
yourself?
in your picture. Do you see
Yeah,
the three dots? If you put the
yeah.
cursor on, so click on the three dots and it'll say
Turn off mic, raise hand, or turn off camera.
it doesn't have edit name and email.
Edit name and email.
Nope.
On your own. If you
No.
don't like, don't be on
It
mine,
says
be like
Carmen Wetland, turn off mic, raise hand, turn off camera.
Are
That's it.
you on a computer or are you on a
Bad.
what?
okay, iPad.
If you
You
click on the three dots, that's what you get.
Yep. Here,
Oh
I'll show you.
wow.
is anyone else on an iPad that knows how to change their name? I'm not on an iPad. I'm on a computer.
Yeah, and I was
Um,
on my tablet, but it didn't like something
I used to
because you
be
don't
able.
want everybody to know. Well, at least when it goes on YouTube, your name's not going to show.
No?
No,
Okay,
I don't
good.
think they.
dear Carmen, how are you doing? I am traveling and I need some money. Can you help me?
No.
No, it doesn't.
Is it
It doesn't
because
let me
did,
change.
did GoTo do a big update a little while ago and we all had kind of trouble signing in that time? Do you remember that?
Oh, GoTo did something. That's probably why my tablet, it said, we did a rething. You want to
Oh,
do this now? And I'm like, no.
I'll have to look at GoTo and see if there's a help section or whatever. Maybe I can figure it out somehow, or or maybe I have to update the app. Who knows? Maybe I haven't updated it. I don't
That's
know.
what I'm glad you just said that because it just said I should do that. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna
I know in the past, as an organizer, I'd be able to edit people's names and stuff. I don't have the power to do that anymore. I don't know how to do
Mm,
it.
okay.
So,
Okay. Well, it's not just me being blind or silly then.
no, they don't always make it easy.
no. This week's been like that everywhere. My own home phone, everything is just whatever you thought it was, it's not anymore.
Can you share your screen? Do you know how to do that?
Not as a presenter, I don't think. Can
She'd
I?
have to be a presenter, I think. But
Uh,
the upside, because we complain about all the costs in healthcare, the upside is that we can meet like this internationally and it doesn't cost us any money. So remember when you had like long distance phone calls, and then we had the time that you could call everyone after 9 o'clock if they were on the same
Yeah.
uh, uh, carrier as you, and now we're just like talk for hours
Oh my God,
internationally and
that
doesn't
just
cost the
brought
same
back
thing.
a memory, Kim, of when I was a nanny. So this would have been like 91 maybe ish. I had such huge long distance phone bills because, as much as I loved being over like doing what I was doing, I still had to talk to all my peeps, and my family is very close. So I remember having like 90, $100 like, bi-weekly payments for a little while to get rid of some phone bills. Insanity. And you just think of how connected we are now. Like we can just pick up our phones and FaceTime someone. I mean, that's just mental.
That
When
was,
I was
they
at
had the
Iowa,
World's Fair in the 60s, where in New York, they had the World's Fair in the 60s, and there was a booth where you could sit in a booth and see somebody on a screen someplace else.
when
Imagine
I
that.
when I was an undergrad at Iowa State, you could do long distance phone calls through your dorm room, and it was like the cheapest long distance anywhere at the time at 10 cents a minute.
Yeah.
It was dirt cheap back in, the late 90s. Like, oh my, it's only 10. You still have to be careful, but you'd have to go like super, super careful because it's 10 cents a minute. And that was like, whoa, that is so cheap.
I used
And
to have
and then I remember when Sprint would, like, you could get, you could sign up for a long distance plan for $10. So I have to, even though I have GoToWebinar installed, it's got 4.8 reviews. Do I have to reinstall it or enable it on my?
I don't know. Frank, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I had the very first video conferencing network in the world that I installed, and
And
it
where was
was,
this and what year was it?
oh my gosh, it was in like 1975,
Ooh.
76.
Ooh.
It cost $8,000 an hour, and there were 5 rooms in the world.
Was that for your work
Military.
or?
It was all military.
Oh, military. Wow.
Because he
And one
used to,
had one in New York, one in Rio de Janeiro, one in LA, one in uh, London, and I think the other one was in Frankfurt.
So you
not
could
in
only speak
DC.
to one of those rooms then, right?
If you, they were connected together, and you could have a conference, an international conference, and it was $8,000 an hour. But the
Wow.
phone line cost $64,000 a month each.
oh,
And now
Holy.
you can get one infusion of Ocrevus for the same price.
Yeah, exactly. Good one, Karen. You guys, I'm at 1%, so I think I have to wrap it up, but it's been really great
I'm
chat.
sorry, Carmen, you are 100%.
You're
Yeah,
99%,
don't downgrade yourself, Carmen. Don't downgrade yourself.
99%
Thank you.
gone.
See you guys
50
in 2
US,
weeks.
50 Canadian. Bye. See you in
Bye,
two
guys.
weeks.
Have a great night.
Let me tell you what I did this weekend.
Huh.
We
But let me
dig
let me stop the recording.